Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, Season 10. It's been 10 seasons of empowering small businesses such as yourselves and hand-holding and guiding you in your growth journey. I'm Sunanda Jayasheelan. On the show tonight, we're bringing you highlights of our Leaders of Tomorrow Town Hall, a series of pan-India roadshows that we do to help us connect better with entrepreneurs such as yourselves. Tonight, highlights from our Nagpur Town Hall. Rahul Pandey, Chief Planner, Nagpur Smart and Sustainable City Development Corporation. Kumar Ranjan, Founder CEO eFeed. Manohar Bhojwani, President, Mihan Industry Association. In the second part of this two-part series from our Leaders of Tomorrow Town Hall series in Nagpur, we're talking about the role of Agri and Agri-tech when it comes to the economy and dissecting it with our experts. My colleague Pooja Jain was in Nagpur to speak with them and moderate this panel discussion. Listen in.
So for sake of some context setting, and Kumar, I'd love to kick off the conversation with you, all right? Give us a sense of what you consider to be some of the sunrise sectors that Nagpur needs to keep its eye on, and what success has the city met with in terms of diversifying its economy in the eye of the pandemic?
Thank you, Pooja. So I have an interesting story for all of you. I'm a mechanical engineer who was in automotive electric vehicles, and now I'm in agriculture, so last 1 year, right? And I can tell you one thing that my majority of my experience has been in Maharashtra. So I was Pune based initially. And somewhere Maharashtra itself as a state has a tremendous opportunity in agriculture, right? And I was just talking to our colleagues here and we realized that Nagpur, is a major belt for a lot of raw materials. So right now we're into animal supplements and feeds. So like soya, maize, millets, cereals, a lot of raw material access in Nagpur is amazing. So we're looking to kind of partner or establish a manufacturing setup maybe somewhere around Nagpur, but obviously that's the exploration I think we'll discuss today, that we're a startup, we're a pure startup, right? So what IDFC, our team mentioned right now, we're funded by venture capital, we are funded by a lot of angels as well. And for every penny we spend, there has to be a justified ROI on which state or what city we're going to choose.
Wonderful. Well, I'll come to you now, Rahul, because there's so much talk about, ease of doing business in Nagpur, but what about ease of living?
I just want to brief a little bit on Nagpur as a smart city. Nagpur is one of the city among the 100 cities which have been shortlisted by the ministry to implement various smart city projects in the city through their own funding. Recently, the ranking which have been published is of living. Nagpur stands 25th in India, which is definitely a appreciable point we can all be proud of as a Nagpurian. And at the same time,
huge round of applause.
And at the same time, as we discussed about you just briefed that we are coming out of the shadow of Pune and Mumbai. But definitely every city has their own morphological characters. Every city has their own economic growth indicators, we can say. Yes, Nagpur is a strategically located city. That's our main, I will say, a plus point as compared to the other metro cities. That's why we are going so faster.
Sure. And Manohar, I'd love to come to you now, because jab Nagpur ki baat aati hai, there is, of course, the leading snack conglomerate, Haldiram, has made Nagpur home, as we saw from Sir's presentation just a few moments ago. Ice cream maker Dinshas calls Nagpur home, right? Spice manufacturer Suruchi calls Nagpur home. This all can't be purely a coincidence. So what's the draw to attaining and retaining that top talent?
Basically, we are manufacturer of pulses. So we are connected with all a person like Haldirams and Dinshas. Everyone who is connected for food, we are connected with them. The basic thing is we are at the base of the raw material, pulses, rice, spices, which is the hub of Nagpur is the hub of all these items. And what major things we are having with us, like the first India's pulses cluster is at Nagpur. Do you know? Pulses processing, pulses processing cluster at Nagpur. This is granted by Government of India, State Government and Central Government of India. So what we have to do is now ease of doing business. We are expecting the good policy, ease of doing policy, like for SEZ policy to be revived. And if the SEZ policy is revived, there is no time that complete Mihan will be filled up with the industries. Complete. No chance. So we have already, I think, in this winter session on our coming budget, the policy will change and we'll get the completely changed face of Mihan. Mihan is a world-class infrastructure. You know, you have visited Mihan because it is a prestigious project of Vidarbha at Nagpur. So we have to come up along with every entrepreneur into Mihan. Just we have to change the policy. We are waiting for the policy. Just the policy is changed, then we will get a completely free atmosphere for industry in Mihan.
But my question to the other two panelists, and then I'll come to you, is do you believe, that infrastructure has kept pace with those investor ambitions and industry demands? How do we ensure that Mihan doesn't simply remain a pipe dream with an unaccountable time horizon in terms of its success?
Since we're talking about Agri-tech, right? If you look at last 10 years, majority of the Agri-tech startups started from Maharashtra itself, right? And whenever we talk about agri to any young entrepreneur, right, there's always a friction from starting agripreneur, right?
Right.
And like recently you're looking at crypto, fintech, edtech, which is very fancy things. And now when I go to talk to people about agri-tech, you come and work with us. Agri-tech, because people always think it's a government-led thing, bureaucrats-led thing. So there's a natural friction over there, right? And somewhere infrastructure has played a very, very important role in pushing this startup culture in the country, right? And I think Maharashtra has been, to a certain extent, the policies for startups, right, have been kind of supporting the startups in the country with things like drones coming into picture, with things like sat navigation, right? And we're also looking at alternate proteins. We're looking at, there's a major hub and major work happening over there. To talk about my industry, we typically supply to cattle. And if you guys know about A2 cow, right? The A2 milk and dairy products coming into picture. I was in Pune 2-3 days back and I saw almost every major cafe in Koregaon Park had A2 milk packets, right? Which is a good transition because when I go to Delhi, even from Bangalore, all those places, I see those regular packets over there, right? So somewhere there's a natural transition happening because the availability of infrastructure to new startups is much, much convenient over here, right? That means access to lands. When I talk to minister, they're like, okay, tell us what kind of land support we can give you. Electricity, right? If you're establishing a cattle farm, poultry farm, and all this thing, you need all these basic resources. And government has to help you over there because as a startup, you cannot just afford the high prices in the the industrial areas, right? So I think that is where the policy part, which you said, sir, and the infrastructure definitely is going to be a major role. And for that reason, we have always stayed in Pune. Though we don't operate in Maharashtra that much, but for the compliance and legal perspective and for that policy angle, we have stayed in Maharashtra throughout our life.
Rahul, I want to build on Kumar's point because when we talk about Nagpur's startup ecosystem, and Rohit alluded to this a short while ago, you see all shades of the rainbow, from edtech to medtech and from fintech to food tech. So let's talk food tech. क्योंकि आज के पहले कभी संतरा बर्फी नहीं खाई थी, for example, या संतरा सोन पापड़ी ले लो या संतरा rolls ले लीजिए, right? So does Nagpur have what it takes to become the country's next food tech haven? Is that where this is headed? And what sort of revenue opportunities does that generate for this city?
Yeah, sure. I really happy to know that you had at least a taste of Santra Barfi today. So that's a good thing. Adding to the previous questions, we discussed about the Mihan and the infrastructure. Yes, there is a very thick link between the Mihan and the infrastructure. And I would like to, rather I am glad to share that the Nagpur being the strategically located, it has a very good infrastructure. As I said, ki every city has their own characters. If I compare Mumbai, it's a linear city. If I compare Nagpur, it's a centric city. Compared to other cities, other metro cities, Nagpur has a really good roads which have been developed past 10 to 20 years back. Right now we are having the metros in place, though ridership is not that much we had attracted, but definitely all those interventions are for the future engagement of the various entrepreneurs or various agency into the city, which will drive the growth of the city towards the economical substantiality.
Right.
I'll take a quick break, much more on the other side, and we'll continue bringing you the takeaways of that panel discussion on Agri-tech and its role in the economy. Back in just a moment. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Tonight, we're talking about the role of Agri-tech when it comes to the economy. You're watching the Leaders of Tomorrow Town Hall series coming to you from Nagpur.
Well, Manohar, we can't possibly talk about Nagpur without mentioning the fact that, at least in a pre-partition India, Nagpur was considered to be, the center point of the country. Yeah. And 0 Mile, of course, tells us that. So how has this city leveraged that strategic location to its advantage?
See, Nagpur is the central heart of India. And it is logistically connected with the east, west, north, south center of India. And apart from that, the maximum distance from Nagpur to major countries is 6,000 kilometers. Do you know? So it is a very potential place to do the business from Nagpur and Mihan especially, because air cargo hub is coming up. And the government of India and APIDA, Agriculture Process Export Development Authority, has proposed our cluster to convert into protein cluster. What we are eating today now, non-veg, it is converted into veg meat. You know veg meat? That imagine food from Mr. Ritesh Deshmukh. He has made the first industry in India. So that kind of product is coming up, veg meat, that industry. And what is the raw material for that? That is protein isolate. And protein isolate is coming from where? Presently we are importing. And from where we can get it? From pulses, rice, millet, ragi, bajra, all these things. And we are sitting at the hub of that raw material. So government is proposing us to build this kind of network and build this kind of industry, like alternative meat industry, alternative protein industry, alternative milk industry. We are getting this plant protein milk. So it is a fantastic opportunity for Nagpur to develop the industries in area.
Well, Kumar, I want to draw some international comparisons, because if we are to look at, area by land that is under cultivation in India versus China, for example, the area is roughly the same. However, China's farming output is 3 times ours. So what are some lessons learned from our counterparts abroad that we can embrace today to match those figures and those industry standards?
So I think a day back, there's an announcement in the news by Government of India, NDDB. So Government of India has made NDDB the apex body to start around 100 plus fodder FPOs in the country. So अगर आप लोगों को थोड़ा डेयरी के बारे में जानकारी है तो fodder is the main food for cattle. Feed तो अलग हो गया तो separate है, but fodder is very very important. And क्योंकि इंडिया में grasslands नहीं है, इसलिए fodder की requirement बहुत ज़्यादा farmers को होती है. Farmers mostly अपने आसपास या जो भी बाकी states से उनको मिलता है. Now surprisingly the data is कि less than 4% cultivable land in India is only for fodder. Less than 4%, which is like a very small number, right? जबकि इंडिया में वर्ल्ड में लार्जेस्ट कैटल है, 300 मिलियन कैटल है इंडिया का, and India is the largest producer of dairy, and the fodder coverage is less than 4%. So that means something is somewhere going wrong, right? Now, I don't want to complain about something, but I think working with farmers for 1 year to last 2 years, farmers are very motivated towards instant gratification. कि मैं क्या उगाऊं कि तुरंत पैसा मिल जाए, मतलब बहुत ऑनेस्ट ओपिनियन बता रहा हूँ, राइट? सो दे ऑलवेज अट्रैक्टेड टुवर्ड्स दोज क्रॉप्स जहाँ पे आपका गारंटी बाय है, राइट? MSP क्रॉप्स फॉर एग्जाम्पल. सो फार्मर्स ने आज तक कभी एक्सप्लोर नहीं किया उसके अलावा क्या हो सकता है, विच इज़ नाउ आई थिंक नाबार्ड, अपीडा एंड कपल ऑफ अदर गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन वर्किंग ऑन. सो आई थिंक द फर्स्ट थिंग इज एजुकेशन, राइट? वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट इंफ्रा. एजुकेशन इज ऑल्सो पार्ट ऑफ इंफ्रा. वी आर वर्किंग विद लॉट ऑफ पैरावेट्स जो डिप्लोमा करके निकलते हैं वेटनरी साइंसेज का, बिकॉज दे डोंट हैव जॉब्स, दे डोंट हैव वर्क टू डू. सो वी वर्क विद देम, एम्पावर देम एज लोकल एंटरप्रेन्योर्स ऑन द फार्म्स so they can make some money. And there's a lot of education which goes. Now, we as a startup, we're not an education company, right? So we always go to KVKs, Krishi Vigyan Kendra. कि यार आपसे partner करके we can empower them. So education has to be first major thing. If Nagpur really wants to focus on that, I mean, somewhere Nagpur always comes in as a name every time we see something, but we don't know why Nagpur is coming, right? Right. So I think the education is important कि Nagpur क्यों इतना important हो सकता है strategically, right? I think the second part comes is the policy में जो schemes होती हैं आपकी कि like we are currently working with Mudra loan. So when you go to banks under PSL, Mudra is supposed to be given to these people, right? And that is a very, very important tool for enabling the micro entrepreneurs or these people on the farms so they can start some business. And it's a very amazing thing, right? Like 50,000 से 2 लाख का लोन आपको बहुत आराम से मिल जाता है किसी भी बंदे के लिए. तो I think ये सब चीज़ें हैं जो हमको कहीं ना कहीं से और exploit करनी है. और I think the bankers along with the government, the state and the associations have to play a very important role. And as long as we have that ecosystem in place, then only startups will start jumping on those opportunities.
I think expectations ये हैं, मिहान को लेके, that it's supposed to bring in a population of roughly 12 million people to this city, sir, by way of direct and indirect employment.
Correct.
Over
Correct.
an extended time horizon, yes, but that is the figure, 12 million. So the question then becomes that can those 12 million opportunities, lives, livelihoods help reverse this brain drain that Kumar was talking about? कि लोग पूना ना जाएं, कि लोग मुंबई ना जाएं, right? They belong to Nagpur and they say it with pride.
देखिए, मिहान का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर वर्ल्ड क्लास है. आपने मिहान को विजिट किया होगा सबने, क्योंकि सब नागपुरियन है और मिहान को ज़रूर विजिट किया होगा. द क्लास ऑफ कंस्ट्रक्शन एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर इज वर्ल्ड क्लास. What we are lagging, only industry. Why the industry is not coming up? There is some flaw in policy. Absolutely. So once the policy is changed, the many entrepreneurs are willing to come to Mihan. Dal industry, rice industry, pulse industry, spices industry, what not. And now we have proposed protein cluster into Mihan. And there can be an international processing hub at Mihan, food processing hub at Mihan. So the opportunity is too much. But why? The only thing is that there is some policy flaw. Once the policy is liberalized, there is a huge employment, there is a huge change in Mihan. Not Mihan, entire India. Once the SEZ policy is a pan-India policy. So once it is changed, there is a complete change in pan-India SEZs and Mihan also.
We look forward to that. And, Kumar, when we talk about Nagpur, of course, its orange gardens are legendary. And, I believe that the Nagpur Orange Growers Association, it has an installed capacity of over 5,000 metric tons of fruit per annum. That figure is staggering. But my question is, what sort of parallel industries emerge as a result of that strength and that prowess?
So I think the reason why we are so bullish right now on dairy, right? So India has already achieved that volume production, world's largest producer, right? And I think सबको यह पता होगा कि डेयरी की जो हालत इंडिया में आज है वो काफ़ी पुअर है, for 2 reasons. One is कि cattle का productivity बहुत low है. Second is dairy quality is very bad. I was surprised to recently know that UP, which is the largest producer of milk in the country, has 50% milk production with synthetic, which is made out of palm oil, urea, detergent, right? Which is crazy. It's bad. हम लोग इतने यहाँ पे चाय पीते हैं, सब कुछ कंज्यूम करते हैं, and if you know all these things, you stop drinking all this.
हमारी चाय में नहीं है, बिंदास कीजिए.
So I think why I am so bullish on Maharashtra and maybe Nagpur in the future, that can be a debate, that I'm seeing a lot of development in dairy happening around Nagpur, Pune and all these regions, right? Because somewhere farmers are also conscious, and the Bombay, Pune, the urban crowd is also demanding these things. Like I was meeting some people in Bombay, they were so proudly telling me कि मेरा देसी घी 2000 रुपए किलो आता है, right? You know, उनको लगता है यार कुछ हम expensive खाएं तो अच्छा ही होगा, right? And I think that's it's a different thing, that why they think that, but I think it's a start. Consumer behavior change is very, very important for adoption of these things, right? जैसे ऑरेंज का जैसे नागपुर ने पूरा एक ट्रेंड सेट कर दिया, आई थिंक देयर इज डेफिनेटली अ अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर सेटिंग द वर्ल्ड क्लास डेयरी प्रोडक्ट्स फ्रॉम महाराष्ट्र, मे बी नागपुर, आई एम नॉट श्योर. दैट इज समथिंग आई थिंक we'll keep it open, but definitely opportunity, because यहाँ पे breeds अच्छी हैं, the climate is very supportive, right? So you don't have that excessive heat and excessive winters like we get in north or a couple of other states. So that's a very favorable condition. Third, raw material. Cattle सबसे जो important है वो raw material. I think Nagpur is sitting on the major raw materials, right? Last is labor and infrastructure. If the policy can support with some kind of let's say subsidies in setting up gaushalas or the dairy processing plants, right? I was in Thailand a few weeks back, and I saw like 30-40 variety of milk over there, right?
Wow.
Like it was like great. There's milk for everything. So I think this is a big opportunity, that if we can maybe talk about how the SEZ can become the place and location for establishing such milk processing and the dairy processing units, I think that's a great opportunity. So I think we are sitting on a great platform today.
And with that, I'd like to thank all three of our panelists. You've really raised the bar in terms of where discussions can go, and the diverse range of opinions added such a nice range, depth and breadth to the conversation. I want to thank you so much for being here.
That's all we could pack into tonight's show. If you have any feedback for us, do let us know. Our details on your screens as we speak. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.